Okay.
Welcome to this week's episode of Moving Forward Talk with Diana. I am your host, Dr. Diana Clark. This platform is open to discuss various topics with the goal to motivate others to shape their future without limitation. This month is the month of October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And on this week's episode, we have Mrs. Andrea Fennell. Mrs. Andrea Fennell will be giving us some insight on domestic violence from her professional point of view. Mrs. Andrea Fennell, tell us a little bit about yourself and your profession.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Fennell, and I am a domestic violence advocate. I work for Peace River Center in Sebring, Florida.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And as we state, we're talking about domestic violence. And one of the things about domestic violence is sometimes the victims are powerless in that they continue to remain a victim without seeking for help for whatever reason. Sometimes they sought help and the help is probably not given. And sometimes they do ask for help, but refuse to pursue what has been offered. So, Mrs. Fennell, explain to us what is domestic violence.
Okay. Domestic violence can be defined as the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or of an abusive behavior out of a systematic pattern of power and control of one's perpetrated by their intimate partner.
Okay. And what are some signs to observe into early domestic violence?
It was most commonly start out with physical abuse, starts out with emotional, uh, economic, and psychological.
And what is the most common method?
Physical.
Physical. And I asked a question so we can bring this other point across. Because sometimes we think that it has to be physical. It doesn't have to be physical. Physical is the most common method, but it doesn't have to be just physical. What are some of the myths about domestic violence?
Some of the myths of domestic violence is it's a private family matter. No one should know about it. Some of the other myths are that it's easy for the victim to leave the abuser, but how are they going to survive? The facts are lack of fear, safe option, and the ability to survive on their own economically, and it prevent them in many ways of leaving that relationship.
Great. And when you talk to a lot of the domestic violence survivors or domestic violence victim, one of the most common, and I don't want to use the word excuse as to why I can't leave, but one of the most common used excuse is I cannot make it on my own. I'm
That is true.
not financially able. I don't have anywhere to go. We have children. Who is going to help me take care of my kids? And therefore, we're stuck in that abusive relationship. At that point, what assistance can be given? And I'm just saying, so here you are as a domestic violence advocate. and you receive this call, and I'm in a domestic violence situation, I need some help. And I'm sure you may have received some of those calls, and he are offering the help. But the next 5 minutes later, you may receive another call, I don't need the help anymore. What is your advice to that person?
Well, most of the time, what we normally do is we safety plan with them to get themselves prepared to leave. If they're not ready to leave, we can always have the option of outreach services that they could meet an advocate when it's convenient for them, most of the time when the perpetrator is gone to work.
Okay. And I just want to back up a little bit and to add another myth about domestic violence. It is believed by, for the most part, that only women are victims. But men are also and can also be victim of domestic violence. And
Yes.
in a research that I found, and this research was done June 26, 2020, a few months ago. According to the CDC, 1 in every 4 women and 1 in every 7 men experience physical violence by an intimate partner or at some point during their lifetime. Now, what are some of the reasons that, even though more men, according to this research, more men experience domestic violence than women, but then it's more women seeking assistance? What are some of the reasons, or have you, during your profession of being an advocate, have a male ever reached out?
Yes. We've had male to reach out, but not as much as women. And the main reason for that is I am a man.
Right.
No one should know that I am being abused at any time by my partner, because a man is supposed to be always the head of the home, take care of the home. So now I am asking for help because I am being treated not the way I want to be treated.
Absolutely. And as you conduct research, you see over 30,000 deaths occur as a result of domestic violence
Yes,
nationwide, not our community, not our county, but nationwide. Do,
yes,
do you know of any deaths that occurred as a result of domestic violence in the small county that you serve?
yes.
What are some of the services? So we have a domestic violence victim at the time, reach out for help, is offered help, and accept the help, and probably even become a client at your location. What are some services provided to those victims?
Well, some of the service that are provided at our center is we're a 24-hour facility. We have advocacy, assist with relocation, assist with application for childcare for children to go to daycare, court and legal advocacy, crisis counseling and services management, emergency shelter information and referral outreach services, primary prevention program, safety planning support group. We have a CPI project, additional services, economic empowerment program, food and clothes assistance. We have invest, and I will touch more on that. We have pet fostering and pet kennel on site, and we have rural outreach advocate. to help our clients.
So we have numerous service that is provided,
Yes,
but then at times the services are declined, or they would accept the services, but then would go back into the same domestic violence environment.
that is true.
From a professional perspective, can we explain that behavior?
That behavior, their partner have let them feel so belittled for so long and depend upon them for everything that they just don't think that they can make it. And even though they seek help and came to shelter, they just don't feel belong. Something is missing. So they figure that the only way that I can make it is by going back home. And again, a woman will leave 7 times their abusive partner before they decide to leave finally and try to start all over again.
And you mentioned invest, and you say you would go back to that. What is invest?
Invest is for high lethality cases of strangulation, gun, a knife, a bat, things like that. That's high lethality. Um, because most of the time your perpetrator is wanting to kill you. But when those things happening, if you don't seek help or try to get out, you're gonna be one of those statistics.
Okay. And you may have mentioned it and I missed it. Are they referred to any kind of mental health services?
Yes. We ourselves within Peace River Center do have a part of mental health. We have outreach clinic in Avon Park and in the Wauchula area. We also have Tri-County here in Highlands County. Again, we serve not just Highlands alone, we serve Hardy and also Polk County.
And I know that we have this yearly domestic violence symposium. From your perspective, what are other ways that we as a community can continue to bring awareness on domestic violence within our communities?
In our clinics, at our doctor's office, at school, the daycare, social media, just wherever you think you can reach them at.
Absolutely. And what are the local contact numbers?
The local contact number for Highlands County is 863-386-1167. Then our toll-free number is 1-800-500-1119. Now, you will always get an advocate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anytime you call, there will be an advocate available to talk to you.
And I know that when they're in your center, their perpetrator is not allowed or should not even know where they are. But are there instances when perpetrators actually know where the victims are and actually try to get to the victims?
That is correct. It is a confidential location, but for sometimes perpetrator will already probably know where it's at, or they will have devices on their telephone, their cars, and able to track them. Safety is always our number one concern. So we always safety plan with our participants. However, we have the police department and we also have our local sheriff department that work wonderful with us, and they're patrol our area, and they don't have to leave if they don't want to. We just safety plan with them at all times.
Awesome. Now, before I wrap up, is there anything additional that you would like to share about awareness of domestic violence? And maybe I do want to touch, maybe do want to touch a little bit more on escaping it. You can't avoid it. Sometimes we just can't avoid it because we don't know sometimes when we're going to be hit. And we may see the little signs, and of course we misunderstand those little signs or play a blind eye. But at least the first time, I don't think we can stop the person from hitting. But after that first time, usually there is going to be a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth, because it's usually, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Then I'm sorry, it won't happen again. What are some steps that can be taken by the victim to get away?
Well, the first step is reaching out, calling and seeking help. That's the first step. And after calling and seeking for help, we're available to them. However, we need to meet with them. Uh, we have, like I said, we have outreach services when the perpetrator's gone to work or visiting family members, or they're go to a doctor's appointment and they're able to call. We're able to meet up with them, or they're able to call us on the phone. We safety plan with them. Sometimes it takes months to get away. You want to make sure that you get all your important documents, your children's social security cards, the birth certificate, all of their school record, especially if you're leaving from another county to another county or to another state, even. Um, and always make sure that you plan and have everything ready in order for you to make that move. But just the fact of calling and seeking out services, that's the beginning of moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you want to add?
Yes, we here in Highlands County, we have numerous different services, as I mentioned before. We also have a shelter in our Lakeland area. We also serve Hardy County, but you don't have to live either in any of those counties. As long as we have bed availability, we will take you. And to always know that someone will not leave unless they can take their pets because they have their cats or their dog. We're blessed to have a kennel where we can foster their animals there. And if we can, then we can board them. So that's sometimes things that would make them stay at home, but just knowing that they can bring their pets, then yes, they will come.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very much for sharing on the awareness of domestic violence and some steps that can be taken, as well as providing the resources that is needed. And for anyone who will see this video, domestic violence is real, it's as real as it gets. Please, if you're experiencing domestic violence, seek help. It can become fatal. Until next week, this has been Moving Forward Talk with Diana.